What's up, everybody? Here's another episode of TMP, and as you probably already know, TMP stands for the Menace Podcast. I'm so happy and honored to welcome a very special guest today in the studio. No other but the 2020 Miss Olympia, Andrea Shaw. I got to give you an applause because I think what you achieved in 2020 is probably something that, I don't know, did you believe it?
Yeah.
Did you believe that would, you were going to win the Rising Phoenix and going to go on to win the Olympia?
I did, because I was chasing it. But then once I won them, I'm still looking around like, this really happened. Because I had to do a little bit of research, not much, but a little, because you're pretty much open and everybody knows. Growing up as a kid, you were into gymnastics and a cheerleader. Yeah.
Tell us about your gymnastic and cheerleading days.
Well, it started off as, Mama needed somewhere to put me. You need to get out of my hair. Go find you something to do.
Was that in middle school or high school?
Elementary school.
Elementary school.
So, yeah, I started when I was 6, and I ran that right up until I was 13. So I moved out of gymnastics after age 8, and then from there moved right into cheer and didn't stop that until 13. So, I had my full run of, the cheerleading. And then when I got to high school, it was just kind of like, I'm over it.
So were you just on a team, or were you like competitive cheerleader?
Oh, yeah, both.
So you got trophies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you've been a champ since you were a kid?
Oh, yeah. So
the
competitive nature is there.
Used to winning, okay.
Yes.
So you were gymnastics first, or you gave up gymnastics and you started cheerleading?
Yes.
It's probably beneficial if you're gymnastics as a cheerleader. You can do all that flip on that stuff.
Absolutely. Laid the perfect framework.
Awesome. Then
I can still flip.
You can still do it?
Yeah.
Would you consider putting it on in your routine to maybe do a back
I would
flip?
like to, but they got these rules. They say no fitness elements, because that's strictly reserved for the fitness girls. But if they open that up, I would be.
Would you really?
I absolutely would. Why not?
I used to break dance, and I used to do stuff like flips and back flips, but if I had to do it right now, I would be too scared to bust my ass.
Well, there comes some risk, but
because there's no way you can't say, "Well, let's try that again."
Yeah,
because this is it.
You got to practice often, so random times throughout training, we find a nice place to get a few flips in.
So 13, you went into cheerleading, and you did that for how? No, you stopped at 13.
I stopped at 13.
Okay, so now your mom is the one that got you into not bodybuilding, but lifting weights.
Yeah, she introduced me to the gym. So,
And that happened at what age?
That was 13. So I had this break where, cheerleading's done, and mom is like, you know what? I want to take off with personal training. She's a nurse by profession, but, just wants to look good. And, she's like, we're going to the gym. And gym is going to be your babysitter because I have nowhere else to take you.
So she was a coach or a trainer or something similar?
A trainer, yeah. So she had like a group of like 8 people she was training, which, again, she's already got a full-blown profession. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool because, she's like, well, I'm going to train these people. I'm going to get in shape, lead by example. And you're going to be there. We're going to find you something to do. So I was tinkering around in the gym, setting up equipment, just snooping around, finding out how things work. And it was cool because it was like, okay, I see how this works. And I had all the time because she had so many people. I'd be there after school just for hours on end.
So at 13, you were already in the gym. And so you were not even close to thinking about going back to gymnastics and still continuing like a gymnastic
I was burnt
career.
out. I was done.
No more cheerleading. So now you lifting weights. So when did you get addicted to, when did you think about competing? Because I know you are, female bodybuilding Miss Olympia, but I know you started as a figure girl.
Yeah.
So tell me about, so you started training at 13. How long were you training before you started thinking about competing or getting on stage?
I wasn't consistent. So, from 18 up until 21, I was entertaining the thought of, maybe getting into doing a show, but I still wasn't, really angling for a show. I was thinking like maybe, a little modeling, something like that. But I knew I had to get in shape even if I wanted to like do a little modeling, right? So I wasn't so consistent. I got into college, started adding on weight. You know what it is. You focus on your studies, and then you look up at the end of the semester, it's like, oh man, what happened?
Were you good at school?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So school was number one?
Absolutely. Honor student scholarships, you name it. I was studying exercise science, so it was something that I loved, but, the schoolwork was very demanding. So, there were just those times where I had to really kind of pick whether I was getting up. And I'm a morning person. I like to go to the gym in the morning, get it out the way so that the rest of my day, regardless of what happens, I'm at least done with my workout. And it was just, some nights were late night study nights, getting ready for exams. And I just kind of, I would fall off. And then at the end of the semester, I would come back and like, okay, I put on 10 pounds. I got to hurry up and get this off before the next semester starts. But once I turned 21, I was really ready to commit because, I kind of got frustrated with myself. I'm like, all right, here I am, exercise and science, major. And now I'm a TA and I'm teaching. But now I'm like, okay, I need to look the part, right? So
Were
I'm
you
like,
big?
Well, I wasn't big, but I wasn't like in great shape. I was a little, I was a little chipmunkish.
Really?
I like to eat, so I was a little chipmunkish, and there was plenty of restaurants on
21,
campus.
You looked at yourself and said, "Nah, I got to do something."
We can do better than that. We can do better than that. And I knew I could. After being in cheer, being in gymnastics, there's a certain look that goes with those sports. Whether they want to talk about it or not, the expectation is you're not getting ready to show up as a cheerleader or as a gymnast, and you're not looking like you ready to perform. So yeah, I said, okay, I got to really dial it in and look at what I can do. So you remember Oxygen magazine?
Yes.
Did you ever get into that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be thick, skinny, or thin enough to be a runway model or high fashion model. But I'm like, these girls on Oxygen magazine, they looking pretty good. I would see Tangi Johnson, Jenny Lynn, Monica Brandt. I was like, okay, we may be able to work with something here. So I emailed them.
Oh, you
said,
did?
okay, how are y'all getting y'all's girls, in these magazines? And he was so nice. He emailed back.
Who did you email?
Robert Kennedy.
Oh, Rob Kennedy.
So yeah, the owner of the magazine.
I remember Rob from Muscle Mag.
Yeah.
Was it Muscle Mag?
Great guy. Just
Robert
super
Kennedy.
Nice, down to earth. And he's like, you know what? We're going to a lot of the shows. We want to see who's on stage, who's looking great, who's in great shape. And, after we interview them, talk to them, we take the time to invite them, to get involved with, doing shoots and things like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, if I'm going to do this, it sounds like I need to be at a show. So I'm getting ready to try to see what I can do to get ready for a show. By this time, I'm 24.
Who helped you?
I had a girl at the gym who ended up helping me. She worked the counter at the gym. And, I said, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just jumped into it.
Sounds like me. I had no idea. Everything was, we'll just follow what
Yeah, I'm like, I used to be a cheerleader in gymnastics. I can work it. I mean, I can read up on it. And, she was willing to train me a little bit, help me a little bit. And I knew where my current coach, John, I heard about him, talked to him a little bit, but I wasn't ready to fully dive in. I just wanted to do my own thing. And, I had a little challenge. I heard, rumor on the street, she can't do a show. She don't have the heart to stick with it. And I said, okay.
What was that, your friends?
Nah, that was one of the trainers at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Said,
so you had to prove someone wrong.
Oh, yeah. I said, no problem. I got something for you. Stand by.
There you go.
So, yeah, from the time I heard that, it was 2 months later, I was on stage. First figure show.
First figure show.
Yeah.
Where you placed fourth.
Third.
So you got fourth in the second show.
Exactly.
Okay, so
exactly.
That was it a local show?
Yeah.
Okay, you're from Detroit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you competed in Detroit at figure, and then it looks like you took a long break after that from competing.
Yeah.
Maybe not from training, but from competing.
Yeah. My training took a big turn for the better.
Okay.
Yeah, because at a certain point.
Okay, but why did you take it after the third place, the second show? Why did you stop?
Because I was the mass monster on stage with these figure girls.
Oh, you were already big.
I was my legs. It was apparent looking at the photos. Okay. I definitely was I was starving. I was eating 2 ounces of tuna, 6 egg whites for breakfast and for dinner, half an orange. I was starving, doing cardio twice a day, lifting once a day. So I'm working out 3 times a day, and I still get on stage at 140, and these girls are like 120, 110.
So did the judges tell you need to move up?
No, I knew it. I think a good competitor, if you go back and you evaluate, where you fell, because it's about who shows up, right? But I knew then. I said, okay, yeah, this is not going to be the best fit. I'm going to be starving, and I'm still not going to be not small enough. So then, women's physique wasn't around at that time.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, you know what? I might as well finish up my studies and, cruise on through and keep training. Because, at a certain point, at least I looked the part. I'll be able to, get some training clients and be able to see what else, I can get into maybe at the next level of education.
So were you training just for the sake of it?
Absolutely.
Or were you in the back of your mind thinking that hopefully one day I'll be competing as a bodybuilder or
I kind of said if it happens, it happens. But I knew, I said, okay, I've managed to get in really good shape. You know, I still want to maintain that because, you know, the confidence starts emerging. You know, start looking good, you're feeling good. You know, you can walk into the room with that confidence and it's like, all right, you know, I still want to keep this going. And, you know, I said if it happens, if something else comes up or if I, you know, see an opportunity, sure, I'll take it. But in the meantime, I still want to look good because I'm like, you know what, if there was no show, would I still want to look good and work out? Feel good about, you know, what I'm doing? And the answer was yes. I'm like, cool. We just run with that.
So that was when you were 24?
24.
So you waited 8 years.
Yeah. But then, you know, the opportunity for women's physique came along and it was like, all right, let me see how the division starts to, you know, at that point I hadn't studied figure enough to really, before I just jumped in, right? So I got a chance to really study women's physique. You know, it came around, you know, I'm watching Dana Lynn Bailey, Juliana, and I'm like, okay, you know what, these girls look more like something that is attainable for me.
Right.
Because I knew, you know, I got muscle, right? I'm dense and I know that if I'm gonna get back into it, because it's a lot, right? As an amateur, you go through, you know, the entry fee, the tanning, the hair, the makeup, the suit.
For women, it's way more than
you get sticker shock from that
hair
first
and
suit.
makeup alone.
Oh man, I mean, I was like, okay, who else can I borrow money from?
Right. No, it's
you know,
true.
because it was it's the cost that, you know, came with, you know, I needed to mature, get a full-time job, really start to, you know, got my own house, and it was a matter of.
So you got your own house at an early age.
Yeah.
So you've been like pretty much on your own.
I've been putting in the time.
That's probably
work.
why you're so dominant. I think, you know, because you taught yourself to be responsible very early.
Exactly.
So let's go fast forward. You go on, Physique comes along. You're looking at Dana Lynn Bailey, Juliana Malacani, and who was the other one? Karina Nascimento at that time too.
Oh man,
I remember. Yeah, and so now you're saying this is what I can do.
Yeah. I'm like, we can give this a shot.
So in what year was it when you did your first show? I have some notes here, but I can't. Was it
2016?
2016?
2016.
You did 6 shows as a woman physique.
Correct.
Until you hit your pro card.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I find so interesting, and this is for everybody who's watching. Don't be discouraged.
Yes.
If you don't win your pro card winning an overall, you won your pro card winning second place at the Nationals.
Yes.
Which qualifies you for a pro card. Which people always say, oh, you didn't even win the Nationals. Why should you be pro? I'm talking to Miss Olympia here.
Yeah.
So that's so awesome. So you basically won your pro card after 6 shows at the Nationals in 2018. In 2019, you started competing as a pro.
Yeah. Huge upset. I got my hat handed to me.
Like me.
Oh, man.
First pro show, I got my ass. And I felt so confident.
Oh. I worked harder for that one.
I'll give you an example about me. I felt so good. It's like I won the USA's overall. And the next year I'm going to the United Champions. And I was like, yeah. Because, you know, back then there was one pro card.
That's it.
There was a man bodybuilding, female bodybuilding, which was Iris Kyle in 98. And there was, I don't know, was it fitness?
Fitness has been around. That was the fitness.
Yeah, and there was, I don't remember, the blonde girl. Anyways, so when you win the USA's, there's one winner, everybody knows you're a pro. Because there's only one. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll let that get to me a little bit, you know. I felt like, I went to the New York Pro, and that New York Pro United Champions got my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm tied for 14th.
Ooh.
I tied for 14th with Tom Prince.
Oh.
And me and Tom Prince both were confident. You know, I remember we were warming up backstage, and then we're doing the, I don't know, was it the mandatories? No, back then there was no mandatories first. You come out in groups.
Yes.
And they put you up, and then they put you out for a symmetry round. And I remember before they called the first call out, Tom's like, yeah, we both gonna be in the first call out. I was like, I hope you're right. And they be calling out people, and then another call out, and another call out. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that sinking feeling.
So you know how that feels.
Yeah, that sinking feeling, especially when you know you gave it all. Like you gave everything, and you knew you were gonna come in on point.
So what show was it, the first one?
The Toronto Pro.
The Toronto Pro, 2019.
Yeah.
From then on, you went straight to the Chicago Pro.
Yeah, I mean, Linda, you know, she was very transparent with me, her and Alina. Like, you know, come here. As soon as I got off stage, just get over here. Like, what you doing? What you doing? Now, Margie, I love Margie. Margie, she very brazen. Mm-hmm. She said, who told you to get your big ass up there with the women's physique girls?
Oh, they told you back then you're too big for physique?
Margie did. She was a little more blunt about it. But yeah, Linda and Alina pulled me to the side and they said, you know what? We really like your look, but you definitely are not the best fit for women's physique. And I had the same feeling all over again from figure, because, you know, I'm backstage and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I mean, these girls don't have large quads like me, so I'm just picking up on it like, okay, we might not be.
So was it just based off of your quads?
In my opinion.
Did it ever occur to you, did you ever think about maybe reducing the quads a little bit?
I tried, but, you know, it just, yeah.
It's just that body part.
Yeah,
they just, have to train
they're there. They gonna eat jeans alive. They just... just destroy them. And I just said, you know what, I'm not gonna fight my body anymore. So I just told Linda, I said, yeah, I've been down this road before. So what you think? What you got in mind? And they like, you know what, the very next show, female bodybuilding, just jump in.
So did you do the Chicago as a bodybuilder?
Yeah, that was my bodybuilding
in 2019?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
All right. So you did Chicago Pro second, and you did the Rising Phoenix 2019 and got 7th.
Yeah, that didn't feel so good. That was
Come on for second place. I know that's another motivation kick, and you're ready to go. I said, okay, I can move up.
Yeah, and I should have, you know, in reflection, I should have stepped back and I should have studied bodybuilding the way I study women's physique a little bit more. And I felt like it was an opportunity. So I was like, you know what, let's just jump into it. Let's just, you know, because it's basically, it was the Olympia for female bodybuilding.
Right, because there was no Olympia. Was it? No, it wasn't even announced back then.
Not until after the Rising Phoenix they announced it. But yeah, it was like, you know what? You know, I'm in it now. You know, let's see where we go. Second place was a huge win, right? Alicia Young only beat me by 1 point, which was cool because I'm like, she's a veteran. You know, I'm new into it. I cut my teeth here. I'm good. I should be able to go in and really do it. But yeah, things just, my body needed a break. I think I should have stepped back and maybe, you know, taken that time off. But, you know, that fight in you is like, you know what? I got to at least try. But, yeah, 7th place was, it was a bit tough to swallow. So, but it fired me up for, you know, 2020. I was like, okay. So you basically
said, I'm going to go back to the drawing boards and just come back for the Rising Phoenix. You didn't think about anything else other than the Rising Phoenix?
That was my number one. That and getting qualified for the Olympia, because then I knew, it was coming back. So I said, okay, I got to pick a show, very first show of the year, even though stuff was shut down. I got to get qualified for the Olympia. That's like priority number 1. Priority number 2, I got to go back and I really got to redeem myself for that Rising Phoenix, because there's no way I should have came off from Chicago Pro at a 2nd place win and then get 7th. Yeah, that one didn't taste good.
I know. It never tastes good if you don't win. Especially, well, it's going to be worse now as you're Miss Olympia, so the pressure is probably going to be much higher. But sometimes pressure is a good motivation. So
depends on how you use it.
Yeah. So come back to 2020, you win the Rising Phoenix, which was, I mean, I saw pictures, I wasn't there, but it's like that was a clear win. You know, how did you feel knowing you just basically won the world championship for female bodybuilding, and now you're getting ready to go for the Olympia?
Yeah,
I mean, that must have felt great.
I felt redeemed.
Yeah.
I said, because I knew it. I'm like, no, 7th place, that's not me. That's not me, and I know that's not me. So yeah, to get the first place, now I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I know I should have been able to do last year. But, you know, I needed to just, you know, reassemble the plan in a different way and think more like a bodybuilder, right? It's like that mindset of being a women's physique competitor was hard for me to shake. You know, be leaner, be smaller, you know, and it's a total opposite, right? In female bodybuilding, when it came to my mindset, I need to think bigger. I need to be able to own, you know, that mass and that muscle on stage. and be comfortable and confident with it. And it took me some time to grow into it. So, I mean, huge thank you to Sid, because Sid Gillen, she just, so like you did, Big Rami, she hammered me. She hammered me.
She worked
bad.
with you for really?
Yeah, so I got with her on posing.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've always watched Sydney, and she's got that grace and that flow.
Right.
And I said, okay,
and she's beautiful.
No, it's gorgeous. I mean, you could watch it. I mean, on end, right? It's just beautiful. And I said, okay, do you
and she
coach?
Know what it's like to be a champ too.
Yeah.
That helps
so I got some mentorship kind of packaged in the deal, right?
Right.
And it was real cool because, once she told me a little bit more about her history, Sydney used to be a judge. So she has a refined eye for, what it looks like to have a great presentation on stage with angles in the body and things like that. And she's like, you already naturally have a feminine quality about yourself. We just need to be able to make sure we translate that into good posing. And I'm like, okay, well, that perfectly makes sense to me. And, she took her time. I think we started working with each other in about April. And, because, again, I was getting ready for the Omaha Pro to get my qualification. And I said,
which you won also, of course, Omaha Pro before the Rising Phoenix.
Exactly, which I was thankful that the show even happened. They only moved it once.
So did you do the Rising Phoenix just to get that car?
Well, that was part of it. Part of it.
And the cash, and that money, of course.
Yeah, the cash was the car and the cash, that was...
Shout out to Big J
for the
payday.
Thank you, because the 2021 Camaro, she purrs very, very beautifully.
All right, we get to that in a minute. So now, who do you go for if you're looking for advice? Does it happen that you sometimes sit somewhere and it's like, I need advice? Who do you call?
Well, I got a short list of people. I mean, if it's anything that's like bodybuilding related or in the business of, the bodybuilding, Linda, Alina, they're huge resources for me. Jake is also a resource. We've had some conversations about, some things to expect, with, getting the car, getting the prize money, being an ambassador at this point. What do we want the, general public to see when they are evaluating, how we conduct ourselves with the reemergence of it, hopefully to become more mainstream. Right? There is a certain prestige that comes with this. Just like Mr. Olympia. So that there's a prestige that comes with it because it's been going on for, the last 50 plus years. And, we really want to make a statement about what it is that the younger women or the women who may still be in like women's physique or figure, and they know they're probably on that line of, being not the best fit for the division. Yeah, we got room over here. We got plenty of room over here. We welcome you. But, these are the benefits that you're going to get being a female bodybuilder. There are a team of us to help you succeed. So, I definitely rely on them. I rely on my coach. Big John has been around a long time.
Shout out to John Simmons.
IFBB
Pro.
Yes, I mean...
Detroit.
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida. A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
After the Rising Phoenix, you won the Rising Phoenix. Was it 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
It was 10 days. 10 days.
So he must have been like, okay, this is it. This is your year.
He knew it.
Was he in Orlando?
Yeah.
I didn't even see him.
Oh, yeah. He was very laid back in Orlando. And at the Rising Phoenix, he was much more, we wanted to know what direction they were looking to go. Because it was almost like whoever got chosen as the Rising Phoenix champion kind of set the tone for the direction that we'd be looking to go in for the Miss Olympia. So, Rising Phoenix, he's leaning over the edge of his seat and he's kind of just on edge. And I'm watching him. And, as soon as they called my name, he jumped up and then he ran off.
Oh.
Olympia, he's just kind of kicked back, leaning back,
Yeah.
just real chill, like, yeah, it's just business as usual. Call me if you need me. Just don't ask me for any apple pie. Because he got mad at me for asking at the Rising Phoenix.
So who did you think was your biggest competition? Did you worry about Iris Kyle?
I mean, she was on my mind, but did I worry about it? No.
Do you know what happened? How come she didn't get on stage? I mean, there's so many rumors going around. Some rumors, I heard a rumor that she had an accident before Orlando, and then I heard she was sick. But I don't know for sure what really happened.
Well, I saw her in the elevator after the athlete meeting, and I just looked at her. I said, how are you feeling? And she said, I'm not feeling well, just feeling under the weather. And I said, well, it's been a while since you've put your body through a prep. You just gotta, take it, one step at a time. But, if there's anything that you need, because again, I understand it's a competition, but I'm not the unfriendly competitor. If you did your work, you should be able to walk on the stage with confidence. Right. I mean, I was glad to see her there because, yeah, she's a 10-time Miss Olympia. I expected to give the fans as much entertainment as we possibly could with us coming back. But, that's where I said, well, she was on my mind just like all the rest of the girls. We need to do a good job on stage.
Right.
And, I was hopeful that we would do that. But, yeah, I was disappointed that, she wasn't able to, because she made it through getting tanned, made it through the athlete meeting. And then, for whatever reason, things took a turn for the worse. I watched a interview with her on muscular development. Yeah. So it sounds like maybe she had some sort of pancreatic virus. And they did a lot of tests, and they just really had to take their time to figure out what was going on with her. But hopefully maybe she comes back.
You think she'll come back?
I think she got the itch to come back. If everything stays well with her health, I got the feeling she'll probably make her way back.
I think she should because I think that she is, without a doubt, one of the best female bodybuilders ever.
A 10-time. I mean, you can't refute that. But I just wish that she would not have ridden off the Rising Phoenix. The Rising Phoenix came into play. It was a matter of, the Olympia is a prestigious event.
Right.
But it's not to say that the Rising Phoenix is not. So, she had mentioned that she didn't want to do, she didn't want to do a show that was, less prestigious than the Olympia. But, it's...
How could it be less prestigious if the Olympia doesn't even exist and this show has more prize money than the Olympia?
My point exactly. So, and again, I just my personal opinion, I feel like if you're a female bodybuilding advocate, the title of the show really shouldn't matter unless it's coming time for, some of my other female bodybuilding counterparts to get qualified for a show, right? So that's where, when I thought about, what shows I want to do this year, no, I'm not going to do anything other than the Rising Phoenix and the Olympia because I'm going to give them a chance to get qualified. I'm already qualified. I can focus my attention on, helping, some of the promoters get more involved with some of the athletes. That's going to be my focus to continue promoting female bodybuilding. But, I think that, the Rising Phoenix is just as prestigious as the Olympia. Hasn't been around as long, but guess what? It's still a prestigious show for us. You get a car.
You get
some cash.
So it's a 2021 Camaro?
Yeah, the Z01.
How did you get it? Did they send it to you?
Yeah, they put it on the truck and...
They did?
Yeah.
When did you get it? You won it 10 days out from the Olympia. When did the car arrive?
I got the car January the 18th. I want Martin Luther King Day. Free at last. No,
nice. So you're going to drive it or you're going to sell it?
Oh, I've already taken her out.
Yeah?
Yeah, Faith and I have had some good rides.
So did you have a car or?
Yeah. So
this has got two?
She was just we're going to keep adding to the collection.
Is John driving it?
No.
You don't let him drive the car?
Well, I told him, he can get a ride after, maybe we talk about what my next two show wins hopefully will be like.
Oh, okay. So you go. I heard before you said that you're going for another car. You're going for a second one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a go.
So you're gonna put all the chips into a basket and you're gonna jump back into Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, all in.
Is that just because you want to do the show, or is that because you're going for a car? Is it the money? What
all
is
of
it?
the above.
Because you Miss Olympia right now.
All of the above.
All of it.
Yeah. I mean, and I love bodybuilding. I love competing. So this is where, boots on the ground. I've been saying that a lot, but it really is like true to what I feel like an ambassador should be doing. You need to not only talk it, but you need to live it.
Right.
Yeah, lead by example.
Unfortunately, due to COVID, you can't travel the world and being an ambassador to not only the Olympia, but also the IFBB Pro League, which is something that we need, and that's why I hope everything gets better by hopefully October 30th.
We need to go to Germany.
So we can take you guys to Germany, because I think this is very important also in Europe to bring female bodybuilding back, because this female bodybuilding does not even exist in Europe. It's at the point where all the shows, the pro qualifiers, even my show, we don't even have female bodybuilding added to the show.
We got to change that.
So hopefully after we'll bring you to Germany and maybe do a little tour.
Yeah.
We'll inspire those girls that are downsizing or they're standing on the sideline because they have no place to compete.
Or they're frustrated because, like my situation, I needed to find where I fit. Like there was no place for me in figure. There was no place for me in women's physique after a certain point, right? So it was like, this is the beauty of the IFBB, the NPC. They have been very diligent about making sure that there are places for all different types of bodies and for bodies that are outgrowing the divisions that they have been in. I mean, for the men as well. I mean, here comes the, creation of men's classic. And then 212 and open. There's a place for everybody as they continue to grow, or if they're just getting started and then they find that, I don't really like, physique. I like the look of classic. Let's give that a shot.
Right.
We need that.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah. Who was your inspiration in female bodybuilding?
Linda Murray.
She was?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
As a kid, I would work out at one of the smaller powerhouses that Linda would kind of go to get away. And when I saw her, so that gym my mom was taking her training clients at, they had a huge mural of her on the wall. And it was like, man, this lady is amazing, and she's beautiful.
She is. Still to this day.
Oh, yeah.
To this day.
I'll talk about a classy lady.
Yes.
I mean, just a great ambassador. You can tell her heart's in it. She loves supporting the athletes. And, I mean, she will just, let you just, ask as many questions. Very welcoming, right? So it became I would look at the mural, and I'm like, you know what? She looks beautiful, but could I really attain to that? Like, could I really get to that level? And, once I met her for the first time, it was like, she was encouraging.
So down to earth.
Yeah. And it was like, and I could ask her, what was it like for you at this point? What kind of challenges did you encounter? And she was very transparent. And that makes her Linda, right? That's why we love her.
Right.
And she's definitely, in her interacting with all the girls, she's very much going to be a resource for us when we need her. And that's what I hope to be for, more young ladies or women who, want to ask questions. That's why I tell them, hey, if you got questions, inbox me. I'll answer them.
Right.
You may not like some of the answers, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to grow.
Sometimes you
that
gotta,
truth might stick you a little bit, but it'll be okay.
True. I tell people, you want me to be nice or you want me to be honest?
Well, honest. You can be nice later.
So what is life as a female bodybuilder like sometimes? Because, if I think back when I was 300-something pounds and I walk around the streets and you get the reactions from people.
Oh, yeah.
You get the reactions just because I walk different.
Yeah.
Just because I look different. I don't look like any other guys out there.
Yeah.
But what is it like for a female? Because there's two different, there's one side and they were like, look at this woman with all the muscle. And then other people say, look at the woman. What is she doing to herself?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It's not for everybody, right? So then I had to consider, for me, naturally, some people thought that I worked out when I wasn't working out. So it was like, I'm going to...
So you always built...
I just got a big muscular build, right? So it became a matter of, what? If people thought I worked out and I didn't, I might as well work out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there was an adjustment period of, looks, questions, and learning how to handle each person appropriately. Because some people are like, do you feel like it's too much? It may be too much for some, but it's not too much for me.
Right.
I prefer the muscle because, I'm not going to be, it started to really morph into, owning it, right? I'm not going to be anybody's victim. You're not going to look at me like a victim because I know how to handle my own. I can hold my own. I'm a grown woman and I'm going to conduct myself like a strong woman. So yeah, being a female bodybuilder comes with its different, people who really, really love it.
Does it bother you when people talk bad about you or talk bad about any female bodybuilders?
It used to a little bit because I was like, how can people just be so close-minded? But you have to think about what people who are like that, like if they are very vocal about it, there's something that they don't like about themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and that's why they want to highlight everody else or try to say, certain negative things.
You're absolutely right. But sometimes, it's not natural for a woman to look like, like before muscles.
So muscular.
Yeah, it's not natural. So, and I can understand some people that don't know bodybuilding or don't know any sports.
Yeah.
When they see you, they be like,
dang,
what is going on? You know. So you know, and I tell people always in this industry, especially now with social media, you got to build that thick skin.
Very thick skin.
Because I remember the times going all the way back to MySpace. Because before that, nobody could get to you because if they want to talk about you, they got to buy the magazine. They got to look at the pictures. So, but as soon as social media started with MySpace, you know, and then people, you know, and it's always, because I always say, if you have success, you're gonna have some kind of haters because that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
if you
that
don't
means
have
you're doing
haters,
it right.
Yeah, you're not doing it right.
That's
exactly.
Right. That's right.
So,
surprisingly, though, it's not the women. It's the men.
It's the guys that
It's
talk
the
shit.
men. So, you know, when I think about it, like, okay.
Because they don't look like you. They
The
wish they
men,
could.
I don't care who you are, you want muscles.
Right.
It's a manly thing to be the biggest dude. That's why bodybuilding is so big with the men's divisions, right? The guys want big arms. They want big, and then, they feel a little threatened. So, you know, they shoot me the DMs, and I'm like, it's okay, little man. I got you. It's all right.
That's literally a little man syndrome.
Yeah, you know, he just needs some tips and that's all he wants. He wants some tips.
But in the beginning, it was hard.
Yeah, a little bit.
For me, too. In the beginning, it's like, you know, you get a stupid message and you're trying to get on that profile. Let me see where he lives. Let me go there and slap the
who
shit
is
out
this?
of
He
him.
only got one picture up or no picture up? I mean, you have some guts. At least put a picture up.
So do you think that females appreciate you more than guys?
Yeah. Because they know that it takes a lot to carry, you know, yourself with class, even though you know they know you get certain comments or you get certain looks or stares, and I mean, but a lot of the ladies are like, you know what, I may not be looking to attain what you've done, but I respect it.
Right. I think guys are more jealous than females.
And that's sad.
When it comes to bodybuilding, because I've seen, you know, and I've seen it so many times out of my, you know, the side of my eye, I'm looking at people, you know, you can tell the girlfriend is looking at me. You know what I mean? And you could see him saying something stupid.
And then you're like, okay, quick second decision. What am I going to do about this if it pops off?
Yeah, and I figured it's got to be even worse for a woman bodybuilder because that's just something that we don't see every day.
Dealing with a soft man could be
So let me ask you this: when you
challenging.
Let's say when you get ready to go out for whatever, you get ready to leave the house. Do you choose certain clothes not to stand out, or do you want to stand out?
It depends on where I'm going.
Depends on where you go. So you literally look, maybe that's a little too much, this is not enough.
Yes, I mean, when I'm ready to conduct business, I'm going to stay covered because that's just the way I like to conduct business. There's nothing that's going to be at the forefront aside from taking care of the business. You know, there's not going to be any stares or can I touch your arm or no. We about business right now, so that's all.
You hate it when people want to touch it?
Yeah, because I mean, you know, I respect the people who will at least ask.
Don't go to Asia.
But like, you know,
anywhere in Asia,
I'm going to be disrespectful if I just grab a guy's, you know, private parts and like, I just want to touch it. You know, it's like, you know, let's be respectful. Let's be respectful. I mean, even though some of them are probably like, go ahead,
help yourself.
And I'm like, no. So yeah, I mean, I had to get comfortable, you know, just creating that boundary with people and say, hey, you know, you don't want to do that. And sometimes if John's around, I say, you see that guy over there? You're going to have some serious problems if you don't step off real quick. But, you know, it's a growing into it, owning it. And, you know, again, you become even more confident because now you're like, okay, I can create this boundary of I can't do nothing about you looking. Because, you know, when you train it, that's the only time I usually ever, like, have the interaction of somebody maybe asking me, you know, can I, or you mind if I?
Is this real?
Yeah, so
is
now it's
real?
Like, oh, my gosh, it doesn't look real.
The stupid questions like, do you take steroids and all that dumb stuff?
Oh yeah. And again, it's guys. So I mean, most guys, they know what's up. So it's not and I just say, okay, what is it that you really want? Do you want to know how I train? And so, I had one guy, he approaches me, he's like, he's taking all these drugs, and he's like, he still feels like he's not making any progress, and now he's got boobs. I said, okay, well, something's wrong with your training.
Right.
You know, and I put it out there. You know, he's a young guy.
They come ask you for advice?
Yeah, and I said, okay, well, it's something clearly wrong with your training. I've seen him train in the gym before. What's your favorite body part? I will give you some, I'm transparent. I will give you some tips about how to train certain muscle groups that have worked for me if you want to try it. But, you know, you got to, if you really want to grow it, if you really want to change your body, and you already say you want it, you ain't getting no results, so clearly you need some help somewhere. And he looked right at me and said, well, you know, I don't want to live my crew. I said, well, let's evaluate this. You're not getting results. You're taking a whole bunch of gear. Somebody's offering to help you, and you still don't want it. Yeah. Well, okay. There's nothing else I can do for you.
There's nothing you can do for you.
Bye-bye. Don't waste my time.
What does Andrea have to do to repeat end of this year? Not only the Rising Phoenix, but, of course, the Miss Olympia. What do you have to do?
I got to be all in. I gotta be all in. I gotta go down my task list and make sure that the things that John and I have talked about that, I want to improve.
Did you see, when you watch back the Olympia, did you see anything that you didn't like?
I won't say I saw things that I didn't like, but I saw some things that I want to improve upon.
What will that be?
I want to, just physique-wise, I want to build out my lats a little bit more. Work on tightening the waist up some more, bring some more clarity into the legs. I think they can be sharpened up a little bit more. I want to work with Terrence Ruffin on hopefully getting some posing routines.
Awesome
something. Yeah. Oh man, he's one of the. To me, the best poser in the league. But
he sure is.
He just got that.
He's not only
got that Arnold flow.
I don't know if he's the best poser because a lot of people pose the same, but he has the best physique when he poses. He just displays
captivating.
Unbelievable. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. Good choice.
Oh yeah. And these are the things that we're growing into it, right? I'm growing to be the best Miss Olympia and the best Andrea that I can be as an athlete. And I want to work with Sid. I think a couple of poses based on how my body's been continuing to develop. We can work on sharpening those up, so that way when I get back on stage, it's going to be clear that I made significant improvements that will earn me the right to that title again. Titles again.
Oh, so you're planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think there's. I think you just got to be you. I think the way you stood on that stage, I mean, you're not the biggest girl.
No.
But you have that complete package. You have just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives you the edge right now. So, but who do you think is your biggest competition in the future? Who could be your biggest competition?
I mean, I can't say who would be my biggest competition because I really don't know who's going to bring what, but I'm hopeful to see some great improvements from Mayla Ash, another, crossover from Women's Physique. Great lines.
I think there are going to be a few more coming up because you basically just showed to all of them that you don't have to be the biggest girl on stage.
Exactly.
And that shows a few.
You need to be
girls.
the most complete on stage. Right. Mass, clarity, and symmetry. But yeah, Mayla, her lines, the really tiny waist, she's definitely got that feminine stage presence, so she and I, when we communicate a lot, I talk to a lot of the girls, it's just a matter of, seeing what everybody's going to work on during their off season and bring back to the stage. I'm very hopeful to see Hele return. Irene Anderson, oh my gosh, at her age, I mean, can you believe the conditioning?
Yeah. Amazing.
And seeing her compete with me in that first Rising Phoenix that I did in 2019, even Toronto Pro, Irene was backstage and she's looking at me, she's like, "You a women's physique competitor?" I said, "No." She said, "Oh, no. You not a women's physique competitor. You a bodybuilder." She's even changed since, that Toronto Pro 2019 and the Rising Phoenix 2019. So I'm hopeful to see her return because she's got just a huge, commitment to see herself be better.
Just hearing you talk about other competitors that basically go against you and the way you talk about them, this shows me that there's a camaraderie that was missing for so many years. Yeah. And you as the champ, be the one that's initiated this camaraderie. It's just awesome to see. I'm really happy to hear you say, speak about all these girls.
It's motivating to me too.
There's no hate. There's no. It's competition, but it's a healthy competition.
Yeah. And you know what? And this is why John and I make it a habit. After every show, we get stage shots, put them side by side. As long as when you get back on stage, you made the best improvements that you needed to do. Okay, have fun when show day come. When you saw me, I was eating apple pie. I was happy.
Tell us about you and eating apple pie. Guys, let me guys explain what I saw backstage. I wasn't shocked, but I was shocked. Backstage before the finals, I see Andrea with a Tupperware.
Huge.
I mean, I'm not talking about a regular sized Tupperware. It was like an oversized Tupperware full of apple pie. Yeah. Getting it in.
Shoveling it in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't bother you at all.
No.
So a lot of people, myself included, if I would have apple pie before I get on stage, I'll be the most bloated guy on stage. I couldn't even help myself. But it doesn't bother you at all.
No. And, it actually is one of the best things for me because it fills me out really well. And, considering that, and John and I, we've tested this over time. You know what I mean? Those 5 shows. And
I totally get that. And we used to use apple pie filling too, but not the day of 20 minutes before you walk on
Absolutely,
stage.
absolutely.
That's why I'm so impressed, because you can get away with it.
Oh yeah, and part of the
I'm not suggesting to all the other bodybuilders to follow her footsteps right now, because it might not work for you.
It might not, so be cautious. Do a dry run before you get into that. But John and I, we tested it out, and we still do dry runs to this day. We'll test out things, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it's showtime, just to see how the body's going to respond. It's because you need to know, right? So and he told me right when I got the apple pie, he was like, "You better pump up and pump up hard." And I went at it. I went at it really hard. We're talking, dips, push-ups, 3 and 4 rounds, 40
push
dips.
Your carbs in.
Yeah, really fill those muscles up and drive that blood in there with them carbs. And it worked out good, because we figured out that that's the best approach for my body.
Right.
For somebody else, it might be pecan pie. It might be, who
it might
knows?
be no pie.
No, that's right. That's right. But, the goal is to be the tightest that you can be, the leanest that you can be, and still maintain that fullness when you get on stage.
So when you're not bodybuilding, what do you do?
Bodybuilding.
You have any other hobbies? Any hobbies at all? Anything else?
I like
any
to travel.
interest?
I like to eat. I like to eat.
Well, you like to travel, which is at the moment probably the biggest problem, because we can't even go overseas. You would have probably been in so many different places already.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not possible. So there's no other hobby, nothing else you do, read or whatever. What is Andrea doing when she's home?
I like to read. So these are things that but my life still comes back around to a whole lot of fitness, bodybuilding. What am I going to do to make sure my clients are good? Encouraging my group exercise ladies.
So you still work with clients, so you still have time for all the other stuff that you were doing before.
I make the time because it's
awesome.
important. I've built up this community of people that, I'm very grateful I get to be an influence to them.
So did that business now skyrocket with you winning the Olympia?
Yeah.
Could you tell?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to kind of turn away.
How many clients do you have?
The last time I checked the roster, we are finally up to 30.
30. So you train them in person, or you just do that?
A little bit of both. So we got some hybrid going on. And I wasn't comfortable with the, I'm a little old school when it comes to training. I need to be able to see you. I like to be able to watch, how you perform, so I can give you the correction as needed or make a modification as needed. But, these times with, the pandemic, you just had to go with it, because I felt an obligation to, they were working with me, many of them, before COVID. I'm not just going to leave them hanging out there to dry. There's still a certain amount of responsibility that I feel like I should exhibit as their trainer, to really make sure I'm looking out for them. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them, you've been working with them so long, they're more like family. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that to them. So I had to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable and figure out a way to make it work. So
that's awesome. So they can still count on you, even though you're the champ.
Yes.
And you started training as of March 1st. You officially started your prep.
Officially back into prep. But you know what? I welcome it. I welcome it, because I know the improvements that I want to make are that important that, when John says it's go time.
And what more motivation can you get than winning the Olympia, basically knowing you're the champ and everybody's coming to talk is right on your back?
Yeah, win another one. That's it. Or 2 or 11 or...
That's what you want to go for?
That's what I'm aiming for.
All right. So but you're not worried about size? You don't need to be any bigger.
No. And the feedback that I've gotten so far was, you don't need to get any bigger. You can sharpen up a little bit more, and, that's the goal. And if I grow a little bit, I'm not going to shy away from it. That's the one thing about moving out of women's physique, right? Now I don't have to worry about it. I can eat my ground beef. I can, train hard, and I can just let my body just coast into, where I believe we'll find a good sweet spot.
Do you believe in being ready early?
I do. I do.
So what's your time schedule? If let's say the show is September 20th, you want to be ready 4 weeks out?
At least 4 weeks out.
Okay, so you don't want to do nothing drastic at the end.
Exactly. I'd rather...
Smart move. I tell these people all the time. I said, be ready early.
Yeah.
Start all the cardio stuff early and then back off when you can.
Yeah, and you know what? That last year was the first year that I actually implemented something like that. Be ready far ahead of time because of COVID, right? Because it became we didn't know when the shows were going to get canceled, or if they were going to just, be rescheduled. So once we started prep, it was you know what, just stay ready. And we're going to take it in
Were you worried that the Olympia might not happen?
I was a little concerned.
Yeah. Another shout out to Big Jake Wood.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jake. Because it was a dream come true, obviously, for me, because, I had my eyes on the Olympia even as a women's physique competitor.
Right.
But, yeah, I was a little nervous. And with the return of Miss Olympia, I didn't want to miss my shot to, see if I can take a crack at getting the title. So yeah, I mean, even though we moved from Vegas to Orlando within 4 weeks?
Couple of weeks, yeah.
I was like, I was right on it. As soon as they made the announcement, I got right on. Let's change this ticket over, because it wasn't nothing gonna keep me from going. Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, at a certain point, we can still move around pretty freely within the United States, thank God. But yeah, I was coming. Like, there's nothing. This is what we love to do. So John and I, we were all on board. Whatever we got to do, however we got to get there, we're gonna get there.
It's awesome. Listen, it's great to hear you talk and see where you're at head-wise, and I believe that the sport of female bodybuilding that just came back, this is the first year.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the first year last year. We got the right representative, and I'm glad they chose you, not only for your body, but for the way you conduct yourself. And you sound awesome. You're good for all the other athletes. I'm looking forward to you doing your thing.
Yes.
Because everybody else is trying to do theirs.
Well,
so, you just got to hold them back.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate the talk. And with this, I want to say thanks to the 2020 Miss Olympia champ, Andrea Shaw, for coming into the studio talking to me. God bless you.
Thank
Stay
you
safe,
too.
and I'm looking forward to you repeat.
See you in Germany.
For sure.
After I repeat.
For sure. Awesome.
Good deal.
You awesome.
Hey.